Dr. Sampurna here. I am really looking forward to this journey with you guys. Thank you for being here. Due to some recent changes in the NEET PG questions, they are more aligned to the clinical cases. In this session, we will discuss one of the most important topics from a clinical perspective. And today's topic of discussion is MEN 1 syndrome. And what is the full form? That's the multiple endocrine neoplasia. Suppose one 30-year-old male attends to OPD with a complaint of burning pain, vomiting and diarrhea. That's the burning pain abdomen, vomiting and diarrhea. On asking, he also said that he had a history of prolactinoma, which presented as a headache, visual symptoms like bloody visions, for which he went to transsphenoidal resection through this sphenoid sinus. The patient was previously under PPI medication, but somehow he was non-compliant and now presented with these symptoms. So after admission, the blood electrolytes level are done. So the blood final electrolyte levels are calcium levels high. Okay. He also had a history of kidney stones. So the blood electrolyte levels, the calcium level is high with the high parathormone levels along with low phosphate levels, and the urinary calcium and phosphate levels increased. Okay. One CECT abdomen done in which a large hyperenhancing mass, pancreatic mass is seen. And also these duodenal walls are thickened. In this picture we can see a pancreatic mass which is swollen along with these two. See, this is the liver, this is kidney, okay, and this is the suprarenal glands, and somehow two small adenomas. We will discuss about that later. The patient was further admitted for further investigations, and the esophageal duodenoscopy done, and in which there is multiple non-bleeding ulcerations. See, okay. The patient is given a PPI therapy, managed with PPI given, and complete resolution of the symptoms happen. Complete resolution. Now, with this various blood picture in which the calcium level is high, parathormone level is high, phosphate level is low. Now, there in the background there may be some kind of adenoma may be present. Okay, so one USG is done, and USG finding shows this hypoechoic type of lesion. See, this is the lower part of the thyroid lobe, right lobe of thyroid gland, and here one hypoechoic lesion is seen. So maybe see here also hypoechoic lesion is seen at the lower part of the thyroid gland. Next, the technetium scintigraphy scan was done, and in which the delayed washout, see, the delayed washout of the radial pressure near the lower pole of the right thyroid lobe, which is seen. from these two pictures we can get a picture of this is maybe a case of parathyroid adenoma. Okay, next so what is the management? What is done? Subtotal parathyroidectomy done. And in which subtotal parathyroidectomy done, and the pre-op PTH value was 750 around, and the post-op PTH value falls up to 25 picogram per ml. So what is the criteria? This criteria is known as Miami protocol. So what is Miami protocol? If there is more than 50% drop off, this is only done the intraoperative parathormone estimation was done. Okay, and this is done only within the 10 minutes of time. And if there is any more than 50% drop of this parathormone, then this is a case of successful parathyroidectomy. Why this is successful? Because as the level drops up to more than 50%, it is thought that definitely the culprit adenoma is resected, and this very thing is known as Miami protocol. Okay, so what's the conclusion? What's the presentation and what's the conclusion? And the conclusion is, one male patient who had a history of prolactinoma in his 20s. So prolactinoma is a component. Next thing, mainly in case of 50 to 20% patients of MEN 1, they mainly present with this prolactinoma by their 20 years of age. Okay, so what is the management of this prolactinoma? The prolactinoma is much more common than other growth hormone secreting tumor or the ACTH secreting tumor. Mainly the patients of the MEN 1 syndrome, mainly they present with pituitary adenomas. Not specifically the prolactinoma, they mainly present with pituitary adenomas, in which prolactinoma is more than growth hormone tumor, more than ACTH secreting tumor. Okay, so how this all is managed? How this thing is managed? This thing is mainly managed by, firstly, by the cabergoline therapy. As it is a long acting drug, we usually use it 0.25 mg twice weekly. If there are positive resolution within 1 month, then it's okay. If there is no positive resolution or there is positive mass effect, then we will go for transphenoidal resection. Okay, pardon me for the handwritings. Okay, this is for me, this is the very first presentation like this, so pardon me for the handwriting. Okay, so this is how the prolactinoma or the pituitary adenomas are managed. Okay, so pituitary adenoma picture, no, here is no pituitary adenoma picture. Okay, We will show it later. Definitely, I'll show it later. Okay. So the next thing is, on examination, the patient presented with abdominal pain. Abdominal pain. Then one thing was done. That's the serum gastrin level. Serum gastrin level, and which was high. And suddenly, after resuming the PPI therapy, the patient's complaints got complaints got resolved. Okay. So from this scenario, with the high gastrin value, with the positive effect with the PPI therapy, we can think that the disease may be something like gastrinoma. So what is gastrinoma? Gastrinoma is a tumor, or maybe specifically it is a tumor of, it is a pancreatic endocrine tumor. Okay. So what are the other pancreatic endocrine tumors that are seen in case of this MEN1 syndrome? There may be the VIPomas, maybe the insulinomas. Okay, they may be the VIPomas, insulinomas, or the glucagonomas. Okay. So how can we differentiate that? Okay, this is a case of gastrinoma associated with MEN syndrome and not with the other syndrome. Not as a sporadic case of not as a sporadic case of gastrinoma. How we can differentiate? Mainly, the sporadic gastrinomas are mainly most common in this Passaros triangle. So what is this Passaros triangle? This Passaros triangle is the midpoint between the head and the body of pancreas. The line joining, okay? This is the midpoint between the head and the body of the pancreas. Okay. Next, the midpoint of the cystic duct and the common bile duct, and also the midpoint of the, this is the first part of duodenum. Here comes the second part of duodenum. Now the second and third part of duodenum, parts of the duodenum. So this is mainly the midpoint between the second and the third point of duodenum. By joining these 3 points, we can get a triangle, and this is very much Passaros triangle. Mainly, these sporadic gastrinomas are much more common in this Passaros triangle. Okay, and they are more or less very much malignant, and they will not only resolve by this PPI therapy, they will need more or less surgery. Okay, so thus we can differentiate between Passaros triangle and this Passaros triangle, or the sporadic gastrinomas, or the sporadic gastrinomas, or this MEN1 associated gastrinomas. Okay, and one more thing that we discussed here, that's the scintigraphy thing. That's the Sestamivi scan. Okay, when we can get a blood picture of hypercalcemia, hyperparathyroid hormone, maybe with a parathyroid adenoma. This is obviously a case of primary hyperparathyroidism. Mostly, almost 100% of male patients, mainly male or female, almost 100% of patients, they present with parathyroid adenoma by these 40 years. Those who are associated with MEN1 syndrome. So how the primary hyperparathyroidism patient will present? This patient will mainly present with hypercalcemia. So what are the different symptoms of hypercalcemia? That is the abdominal groan, moans, that's the psychiatric overtone, stones and all. Okay, so what is all about? This hypercalcemia mainly causes the kidney stones, for which the patient mainly presented with these kidney stones. See, here the signs of kidney stones, how the kidney stones were present firstly, or recurrent abdominal pain due to stones, or along with some UTI or some neuropsychiatric disturbances or symptoms may be there. System AV scan is used to visualize this parathyroid gland, and the treatment protocol we all know, that's the near total parathyroidectomy. In case of MEN 1 syndrome, mainly in case of this MEN 1 syndrome, parathyroid hyperplasia, that's the association of all the increase in the size of all these four parathyroid glands are mainly seen more than adenoma, and we all know about the NIAMI protocol. So this is how this MEN 1 syndrome generally appears or generally presents. There may be some associated symptoms which is more or less common. There may be one case of bronchial carcinoid. See, in this picture, in these two pictures, we can see this adenoma, which is adrenal adenoma, which is mainly benign in case of bilateral adrenal adenoma, which is mainly benign. Along with this, in this picture, we can also see a lobulated mass, a lobulated pancreatic mass, lobulated pancreatic mass, which is more common, a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor, and also this cutaneous angiofibroma. Also this cutaneous lipomas, angiofibromas, collagenomas, all may be seen. So what is MEN 1 syndrome? MEN 1 syndrome is basically multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome, is basically an autosomal dominant syndrome, which is also known as Warmer syndrome. It's also known as Warmer syndrome, which is present due to the mutation of menin gene, that's the MENIN gene, menin gene. Okay, and this menin gene is basically a tumor suppressor gene, Okay, so if there is mutation of this menin gene, there is multiple tumors. Okay, the most common type of mutation is the frame shift mutation. And how the patients present? What is the triad of this MEN 1 syndrome? MEN 1, that's the parathyroid hyperplasia, which is more than adenoma, for which patient will present with hypercalcemia symptoms like abdominal pain, stones, psychiatric overtones, etc. Next, the pancreatic endocrine tumors, in which most common is gastrinoma, for which the patient will also present with pain abdomen along with high gastrin level, and which will drastically decrease or resolve with the high dose of PPI, like almost 60 to 80 mg OD dose of PPI. Okay, and there also may be few insulinomas, few glucagonomas, few VIPomas. Okay, and the third point is pituitary And the third point is pituitary adenoma, in which most common is prolactinoma, which is most common, then growth hormone tumor, and then the ACTH secreting tumor. So this is mainly the triad of this MEN1 syndrome. In our very first slide, if we go, see this is MEN1 or the Walmart syndrome, and this is how they are present. There is a pituitary adenoma, parathyroid tumors, insulinoma, gastrinoma. Okay, they are the pancreatic endocrine tumors, and the many associated features like facial angiofibroma, collagenoma, or lipoma. So that's all for today. Stay connected. Let me know what are the different medical topics you want to know from this clinical perspective. If you have found it helpful, please like this video, share it with your friends, and do let me know in the comment section. And of course, if the video helps you, please don't forget to subscribe for more clinical case discussions. Thank you for your patience. Have a good day and do help me to progress. Thank you.